One. Hello, and welcome to JDUB and Friends, episode 33, with the one, the only, the third one in the trilogy, the third night. How you doing
Hey,
tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I cannot complain. It's a beautiful day.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Um,
Yeah,
I've been watching Third Night for a little bit here on Twitch. Been kind of one of people I watch on Twitch. Bill the Fajita always sends his raids over to Third Night, so got to know him a lot better. You know,
yeah.
that's always a positive. Um,
Love Bill.
he's
It
such a nice guy. Shot
was
Bill.
great.
Yeah. Um. Now, what I was telling him before the streams, this podcast episode started, that I usually am a lot more set up. Um. So we're gonna be kind of playing
On
this
the
one like,
fly.
yeah, play on the fly, play on the fly. So I did find some news, so we're good on that. The questions are gonna
Okay.
come off the top of my head, people. So this is gonna be a brand new segment, where usually I have them wrote down and put them on my phone or my other laptop that's older than Methuselah. I mean, we're talking like a Toshiba from like the 2008s.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh yeah. Taking just to log in, it's like
Right. You're
okay.
like bringing me back to like the days of Hotmail and AOL. Like I
Yeah.
still, I know that I'm getting like old when I still sometimes get people uh when they find out that I still have a Hotmail like email account that I occasionally use. I primarily use my Gmail accounts, but like my Hotmail account is still very much alive, and it's crazy how people go when I tell them.
Yeah. Yeah. I run with a AOL account, so
Nice.
yep. I've had it since
There's
I
about
had,
one.
yeah.
We got like 1 or 2 more years before we have to file for
Yeah.
some sort of compensation.
Yep. AARP.
Yeah. Ooh,
Oh my
man.
kidney. All right. So the news I found today was about some video games. So
Okay.
um anybody's watching. Release date for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater has been announced.
Hey.
Yeah, so the new
You
one
know?
coming out August 28th of this year. I guess PlayStation Store accidentally posted the release date.
Huh.
Um yeah. Oops. Have you ever played any of the
Yeah,
Metal
whoopsies.
Right, have you ever played any of the Metal Gear Solid games?
I have. There was one on the PSP.
Hmm.
I believe that I cannot remember the game for the life of me. Maybe I can be able to go into my mind files and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember my first intro into the game
Mm-hmm.
was probably through the PSP, and I feel like just in general, the PSP is a console that is so far ahead of its time when it ended up
Oh,
dropping.
definitely.
But I kind of remember going through the game, and when I played on the PSP, I was obviously a little young and didn't fully understand all of the politics that were going on in a game that focuses so much around like special ops and like
Right.
war and stuff like that. So I was just kind of happy to do what I do, empty the clip, throw a grenade, do a little sneaky sneak here, a little stealthy stealth there. Um, and I mean, that was kind of my first instance of kind of the Metal Gear series, and I've always been a
Mm,
fan. Truthfully, haven't necessarily been able to play as much as I'd like to,
mhm.
but I think after Super Smash Bros. Brawl, when I saw, oh my God, wait, that dude is in this game,
Mhm.
and I just made the connection. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
um, I'm a fan of the series, and honestly, maybe this is another opportunity for me to dive right back in with this new release. You know?
Yeah, they're about to say they have the whole collection from Metal Gear back up for the NES. They have that one, and they have the
Yeah.
Metal Gear 2 now, which was never released stateside. Then they'll have
Oh
the
man.
collection will have Metal Gear Solid VR missions, Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, and I think there's some other ones included too. But for all
Wow.
those games, it's like $100 at the something like that. I think that's what
Hmm.
they said on. I think you can buy them separately to the game. So like if you have like Metal Gear Solid 1, you can buy like two or
Okay.
three separately. But Metal Gear Solid 1 gets you the Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 that was never released to the United States. So,
Mm.
um, but yeah, for the old folks like me and some other people, Metal Gear. I remember playing Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS1, and for anybody that um, played, Psycho against Psycho Manus, he could read your memory card and tell you exactly what games you played, and
Whoa.
yeah, he would also tell you. He would mess with your controller. He would vibrate. He would like if you put it down, he would like put your person playing this put it down. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, he'd vibrate the controller. And then for a while, like there was a hint, but you didn't really catch it.
Hmm.
Um, he's like, "Oh yeah, I forget exactly what he said to give you that kind of hint, but then you kind of have to switch your controller from first slot to second slot.
Wow. Okay.
So you have your memory card still in the first slot, but your controller's in the second slot now, and you could like literally tell
Yeah.
you, um, like, hey, you've been playing a lot of such and like Crash Team or something like that, and tell you
Yep.
what you reading your memory card. It was really weird, but it was like so
Yeah.
cool because it was unique.
I almost miss that aspect of that in video games in general. I
Hmm.
love the game being aware. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
I I had been old enough, luckily, I think, to be able to experience both games before the internet and then like after the internet.
Yep.
So, you kind of before the internet, a lot of the schoolyard rumors were just that simply,
Yep.
right? Everybody knows about the Mew or the Celebi under the truck, of course.
Yep.
But I miss the games kind of that would just mess with you a little bit, like
Hmm.
those in those instances. I feel like nowadays, while games have gotten harder in some aspects, a lot of games I feel like have a way lower floor where
Yeah.
they tend to hold your hand a lot. And for stuff like that, where it's like, all right, well, you have to switch your controller from one to two, or it's aware of the stuff that you're doing in your memory card. I feel like those are like the quirky things that I hope that game developers, as we continue progressing
Hmm.
gaming as a whole, kind of keep, because that's the stuff that keeps you around. It's an interactive experience.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. I
Yeah.
that one blew me away when I was a kid. I was like, what in the world? How's he know all this stuff?
Hmm.
And then after you find out the internet, it's like, oh, okay, all this stuff. Okay. Like,
Yep. He's like, I'm in your walls. I know what
yeah,
you're playing.
yeah. And me and the third night are old enough that remember playing online without having to pay for
Oh
it.
man, look, like life was so much simpler then, and I don't know. I mean,
Hmm.
of course, that's probably just the nostalgia speaking, but like I miss that essence of the internet in
Yeah.
games. And maybe it was just because all of the stuff that I have to do now just wasn't a thing. Like I didn't have to pay bills and I didn't have to be
Yep.
a functioning adult and I didn't have
Yep.
to do all of these things, right?
Hmm.
Or I feel like at least back then I had lived through at least seven less national tragedies and
Yep.
historic events, right? So now I'm just like tired. And I feel
Yeah.
like because I'm tired, my backlog just continues to go. Like I can have the greatest internet nowadays, but it's like, for what? When I feel
Right.
like I'm less happy now than I was then.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of different things back when we were kids. Speaking of more news here for us, was it by
Hmm.
the Metal Gear Solid games were on the PSP were uh, Acid
Uh-huh.
2, and then Metal Gear Portable Ops.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um,
Portable Ops was like the third one in the or third one that came out.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
1978, 6 years after the events of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
This is looking familiar. The more that I see and the more that I look at it. So honestly, yeah.
Yeah. Screenshots, stuff like that. But yeah, it came
Hmm.
out. I mean, this came out takes place in 1970. Yeah, there was so many Snake Eater, Delta, Portable Ops, Peace Walker's the other one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Uh, Metal Gear. Then you have Solid Snake, which is the second one that came out, which not many people played because it was only released, I think, in the like I said, Japan. Then you have
Hmm.
the Twin Snakes, which is also Metal Gear Solid. It was just a remake of basically.
Jeez.
Then you have Sons of Liberty, which was not a lot of people. some people weren't too happy about it because it took away from you playing as Snake and you played as Raiden.
Hmm.
Guns of the Patriots, which is really good. If anybody played that game, it's a great game.
Oh
And
yeah.
Rising Revengeance is when they actually make Raiden actually cool. So, yep. So I mean, there's a lot of Metal Gear Solid
Okay.
games out there for anybody's played 'em. I have most of them, but yeah, I'll probably end up buying the one just to get a Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 because I've been wanting to play them.
Hmm. You know what this?
HBO. Oh, good.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say. You know what this? Just quickly for just Metal Gear.
Yeah.
There is a game that I believe was produced by Bungie. That is like this is such a deep cut, but like for me, it almost felt like this game
Mhm.
walked so that Metal Gear, and obviously I think this game was um during or like around the time, but like my first instance of a game that kind of focused on a lot of stuff like that with a lot
Mhm.
more mature themes than I think I needed to be seeing when I was younger. There is a game called Oni for the PlayStation 2. Like
Yep.
it came out I think back in like God, maybe like 2001 maybe, and it
Yeah.
was like that's kind of whenever I think of like Metal Gear and when I was younger, I have to think of that game
There it
first.
is. Yep.
It's so crazy. Yeah, like purple haired baddie with just a bunch of guns and a bunch of like politics. She was just a hired gun that was just in not over her head. I mean, I was in over
No.
my head controlling her, but like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, pretty banger one.
Yeah, it was developed. I got it actually up on screen right now. So if anybody's ever
Nice.
played it, it's a PlayStation port. Was developed by Rockstar Canada actually, which is craziness.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it was a Bungie West only game. So yeah, it was
Wow.
a only yeah, it was a PlayStation 2 game, Windows, Mac. Man, remember Mac?
Yup. Jeez. And
That
it was
was
weird because, again, like mentioned, it was a third person shooter, but
yep.
then it also definitely did focus on the combat as well, which,
Yeah,
um, a lot of punches, a lot of kicks, had to do a bunch of things stealthily in order to progress. It was interesting.
it's definitely one of those unique. I PS2 had a lot of great games on it. That was
Hmm.
hell of a system. Speaking of PlayStation games, The Last of Us is getting their season 2 on HBO. Did you watch the first season by chance?
Wow. I have not. I
Oh.
have, yeah, I haven't. I've been trying to find reasons to get myself back into just like HBO or HBO Max, and honestly,
Hmm.
Last of Us might have to be the reason why I end up refilling that subscription again because
Yep.
yeah, yeah, I did not know that they got renewed for or like the season 2 ended up coming out. I was still focused so much because a lot of people were still talking about season 1, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The season.
Um,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I'm saying that no, that's pretty much it. I was just saying
Okay.
like that's awesome.
Yeah, they season 2 apparently got some new interesting updates. First up is the news that some of the lost levels that made into the part 2 remaster of the game will be part of the second season.
Okay.
So for people who've played Last of Us season or Last of Us 2, like the Jackson Party, the Hunt, Seattle Sewers.
Mhm.
So yeah, spoiler alert if you haven't played it, but it's been out.
Right.
It went through and was on the PS3, PS4, and PS5. So at this point, is it really a spoiler?
Mm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
at this point.
yeah. Apparently, the first episode airs in April, so we got about 2 years. I will tell you, if you don't
Mhm.
have HBO Max or HBO Max right now, but you are
Mhm.
interested in another show, HBO Max is oh crap, what's it called? Pennyworth. Pennyworth is
Huh.
amazing. Um, I, I
Wow.
will tell
Okay.
you, I will tell
Huh.
you, there is nudity in it.
Okay.
It's basically hold on, let me go back to it's based on Alfred Pennyworth from
Okay.
Batman.
Interesting. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
Um,
Huh.
yeah, it's a prequel to the Gotham show,
Got you.
and also like a V for Vendetta, I believe the TV series too.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so
Well,
it's really good. The guy that plays oh, they don't have me picture him on Wikipedia. Thanks, Wikipedia. But the guy that plays Pennyworth is really, really good, and I
okay.
believe he should definitely. Oh, maybe it's in here. Let's see. Alfred Pennyworth. I don't know if they have any pictures of him.
Pennyworth.
Yes, he's really good though. Yeah,
Hmm.
he was Jack Bannon on. But yeah, I don't think they have any pictures of him. Other media. Let's see. Nope. Michael Goo. Oh, he was so good as Pennyworth.
Mm.
I
You know what
love.
I will say? I do like how there are these spin-offs
Mhm.
of individuals in the Gotham universe that aren't necessarily named Batman. Like that Penguin
Yeah.
show was phenomenal in my opinion. And like it was just so awesome to be able to see a different perspective of honestly who I would have just thought, not necessarily saying that like Penguin in comparison to everybody else was a run-of-the-mill villain, but like you don't really have a whole lot to say about um you know
Hmm.
Penguin unless you're like one of those diehard fans, but that show is like the perfect
Yeah.
like the perfect push to get you more immersed, which is awesome to me.
Yeah, the guy that
Um,
plays Pennyworth, I think should be the next James Bond just because of the way he looks. The Yeah,
ooh,
it's I mean,
okay.
let me see if I can find him on uh we'll try and look him up. Let's see, I think it's Jack Bannon. Let's see if it shows up. We're doing this on the
Jack
fly.
Barron.
Let's see. Yeah, well, that's a good picture of him. I don't know if you guys could see it,
Okay,
but yeah, he's kind of
I'm following.
he could definitely he's a young enough Bond or actor that I was trying to find his suit that he I think he definitely could be a Bond for a while. Um,
Oh yeah.
there he
Huh.
is. There's this
Oh
little
nice.
so you kind of
Yeah.
get the idea of James Bond. I mean, plus he's a badass in the show, so
Oh, I see it.
mhm.
Man, I love the Bond series, by the way.
Oh, it's
That
so
is
good.
probably the series I'm tapped in with the most, all the way from like classics like GoldenEye, all the way up to like No Time to Die, right? Like there's just something that gets me going
Hmm.
about just like a badass in a suit with some tech and
Yep,
like doing the thing, you know? It doesn't have to
exactly.
be the craziest premise, but like
Mm-mm.
it's the one that keeps me hooked always, 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 always.
Definitely.
Um,
Yeah. Uh, let's see. Yeah, I was a big Bond guy, which now I have another question that's popped in my head, so I'll ask you in that one too. Yes.
all right, sweet.
Yeah, look at that. See, I'm coming up with them on the spot. Uh,
I love it.
now, did you did you ever play Kingdom Come? As an RPG
No,
that came out.
Kingdom Come is a new one for me. Yeah, give me what's the rundown for this game?
I actually haven't played it. Yeah, the new
Okay.
it's a new release coming out for this week. It's called Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Huh.
Sold it sold 1 million copies in its first 24 hours right now, and obviously it's
Wow.
really yeah, obviously it's really early right now. But Metacritic has its highest ranked game in 2025 with an 88 from critics. Pretty intense
Yeah.
RPG that comes or that take hours to get you into, but it's still uncertain. Gamer X is the best before you buy for some guys. So if you're interested, that Gamer X actually probably I guess goes through the whole video and explains the game.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the big game I think everybody's waiting for, GTA
Mm-hmm.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it's still scheduled to release in fall of this year, which is nuts. I think it'll get pushed back to 2026. But that's just
Mm-hmm.
me. How many of the GTA games have you played?
So uh I've played three. The ones that I'm the most familiar with are
Mhm.
three, San Andreas, and probably five as of most
Okay.
recently. I think San Andreas is probably the one like front to back that I have the most experience with. Again, just because I think just of timing. GTA 5 is one of those where I was playing primarily with my friends. I feel like sometimes with a friend group, they
Hmm.
end up having a hyperfixation towards a game. And for me, I think it was because GTA 5 had been out for so long, and you know, I was curious, but they were definitely into it more than I was.
Hmm.
Just because I think they had more experience with it. I think I found myself just playing other games around the time that it came out, and like GTA is always going to be one of those games
Oh
I
yeah.
think you just kind of have to stop and listen to. But yeah, I mean, I'm decently versed. I'm excited the most for this one, I will say,
Hmm.
because the hometown or the place where the entire game is supposed to be happening is in like what Miami, Florida, which
Right.
I'm extremely excited about because A, that's where I'm from, but B, I just think that with all of the news and stuff that's coming around it, I mean, like I'm sure when you saw the trailer dropped, like the world
Hmm.
stopped for a little bit. Crime, I'm pretty sure, went down by at least like 25% for a couple of days,
Yeah.
and it was awesome to see. So I mean, if they're feeling confident that it comes out this year, nobody loses except, or like nobody loses, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wins in that situation. But I'm kind of a I'll believe it when I see it, right?
Hmm.
I'm kind of a I believe it when I see it because I've been burned a little too many times by another franchise that I am still waiting for patiently. Because I figure the copium for me is kind of run out, and I don't want to necessarily begin to slander, but
Hmm.
Silk Song, I know you're coming out soon. I just have to simply be patient, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I sadly have missed all those games so far, like Silk Song, or and oh, what's the other one I can't think of? Um, oh my goodness, everybody was talking
Ooh.
Undertale. Undertale,
Oh man.
I
You
missed that one too.
know, what's crazy to me is there's something so interesting about the internet and the algorithm.
Hmm.
I played Undertale in 2015, right? Like
Oh,
around the time that it came out, and I mean, even if you don't or haven't played Undertale,
hmm,
you're very familiar with what that fandom looks like, right?
right.
Um, so that's already something crazy. And for me, I've kind of already done I've gotten the endings that I needed to get, and I kind of did a little bit of an initial deep dive.
Right.
Tell me why the past couple of months, I have somehow gotten myself back into the Undertale algorithm, and it is just one of the like craziest things to be experiencing now,
Hmm.
10 years later. So hey, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a blessing if you haven't played, and heaven forbid nobody has like heavily spoiled you yet.
Hmm.
It is a beautiful gaming experience, and I would highly recommend it. That and Hollow Knight, the stuff like Celeste, but
Hmm.
you know me, I'm always going to be the type of individual that's going to try to push indie games to the forefront because it's their passion projects, and you'll find some really good gems in there.
Yeah, I gotta catch up on that, but want to catch up on Live Alive. That came out a little
Ooh,
bit ago.
yes. Ah,
Octopath Traveler, I haven't played that one. Because, all right, so when
yeah.
Octopath Traveler came out, it was for the Switch only, and then they
Hmm.
ported it to the Xbox. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
if they're gonna port, I have a Switch, I have an Xbox. And I was like, if they're gonna
Yeah.
port it to both of those, then they're eventually gonna port it to PlayStation. Then finally came on
Of course,
PlayStation.
right?
Yeah,
You
so I
would
was like,
think.
yeah, so I was like, all right, I'll buy it when it comes on PlayStation. Then I hit a rough patch, so I have to buy it eventually. But I was
Yeah.
I'm definitely not gonna buy on Switch because Nintendo games never go down in price. It don't make sense. Like same game could be
Yeah.
on Xbox or PlayStation. It's like $60 on Play or on Nintendo Switch, $40 on PlayStation. Got it.
Nintendo has such a crazy, and I'll just preface this by saying like I am gonna say this knowing damn well that Nintendo is my favorite franchise, like above all else,
Hmm.
right? Like I will shill for that company at the turn of a dime.
Yeah,
It is so insane to me how games on the Nintendo systems, and I think especially because of recency bias, we notice it on the Switch,
yeah,
and the Switch itself never drop in like price value
yeah.
ever. I would say like maybe the game's a little bit less so. The Switch 100%. Like I'm putting that in the front of the stand, questioning immediately because
Yep.
there's no way that 5 years or something have passed and the Switch has not gone down in price, not once.
Mm-mm.
and I just don't know how they got. I don't know how they got away with that, right?
Right.
But hey, it is what it is, I guess.
See, the thing that bugged me, I I like Nintendo. I would say it's probably my second favorite behind Sony because I mean Sony has one of my favorite games of all time on it. So
Yep,
I'm kind of biased, but I feel like they had so many games that came out on the Wii U actually, and then they ported them
yep,
to the Switch, and they added like maybe like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, for instance, that came out on the Wii U, and then they ported it to the Switch, added
yeah.
I think they added 3 characters, and that was about it, and it was like full price again. It was like, why?
You couldn't have made that like you couldn't have made that
Yeah,
DLC for the original game, OG. Like you didn't
yeah,
even have to do all that.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like I get it. It's moving to the Switch. I get it, but it's like why charge you full price of again, basically what it was on the Wii U. It's like you could have just if the person buying the because I mean I know the Wii U wasn't a great seller or anything like that, but how hard would it
yeah,
have been for like if you bought on the Wii U between this date and this date, be like, hey, here's a $10 to upgrade it to the Switch version. Like how hard would that be?
exactly.
Because I know,
Um,
go ahead.
no, I was trying to think. I feel like the Wii U
Hmm.
is probably one of Nintendo's largest blunders, and I think it's because not even necessarily because of the system.
Hmm.
I think it's because of what they were able to do egregiously from that system to the Switch. Because,
Yeah.
like you were mentioning, I don't understand where we went from the Wii U to the Switch, but the games kind of sort of stayed the same. But
Hmm.
then just because it was on a new console, even though it was pretty much the exact same game, they
Hmm.
were still charging you full price. I have no idea how we did that.
Yeah.
Like, it made no sense to me.
Mm-mm. No, the only one that actually made kind of sense, I would I mean, Breath of the Wild came out on both consoles basically simultaneously, so I get that
Yeah.
one. But the only one that actually made sense, I feel like, was Ultimate, because Ultimate, you got a lot more on the
Mhm.
Switch than you did on the Wii U, and then Mario Kart 8, basically, you just got few more tracks, few more characters, but I feel like still that could have been like a $10 upgrade and then you pay for the DLC after that. I mean, I feel like that's
Mhm.
easy. But maybe that's just me being, weird and thinking that, like PlayStation for instance, like I think they just gave what was it? I forget which game it was. One of the games that was on PS4, Final Fantasy, that's what it was, Final Fantasy 7. If you bought
Mhm.
the Rebirth on PS4, you got it free upgrade to PS5 as long as you own the game, which was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All you had to do was put your PS4
Um,
controller or game in there and your PS5, and there's like, here you go. So it's
I
like,
liked that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that was cool. I think what I'll say from the consumer's point of because as much as I hate to admit this, from
Hmm.
a business side of view, it 100% makes sense for them because they
Oh yeah.
simply can just get away with it, right?
Hmm.
I think what a lot of gamers will do, especially as consumers, but like gamers specifically in this instance,
Hmm.
you will hear them complain and review bomb like out the wazoo, right?
Hmm.
But the issue is, if you actually want to be able to make a movement, you have to be able to agree and then unionize, right?
Yep.
If people if Nintendo saw that it was hurting their pockets because they were pulling this egregious stuff and wool over our eyes,
Hmm.
then absolutely something would have changed. But I think unfortunately what happens a lot of the times is that they'll like push the boundaries a little bit more each time just to see if people are still going to buy, right?
Yep.
So from a consumer standpoint, it definitely doesn't make sense and it sucks.
Yeah.
But like if you can get away with it from a business perspective, oh yeah, well then go ahead, run that up. Don't even
Right.
ask a second question.
Yep. Might as well.
Right.
Let's see if there's any last little bit of news. Oh, yep. Capcom held their last spotlight in the week earlier this week.
Hmm.
Uh, there's an open beta 2 for Monster Hunter Wilds if anybody plays that. There's a
Yep.
gave us some more details on Onimusha, which was a great trilogy
Ooh.
for the PS2. Great trilogy.
Yes.
Apparently, it's an
Um,
Animushu 2 Samurai's Destiny remaster. So,
okay.
um, and then the Capcom Fighting 2 collection, which I believe has Power
Hmm.
Stone and Power Stone 2, I think, on it. I could be wrong though. We'll find out.
Okay.
But that's apparently coming out May 16th for the Capcom Fighting collection.
Hell
So,
yeah. Okay.
got some good names there. Xbox, which is slowly dying. I think they'll be out of the console wars pretty soon. Because I mean, they don't have any
Mm.
exclusives anymore. Basically, I mean, they're gonna have Halo's gonna be coming to
Yeah,
PlayStation, which is weird. And then I
that
think
is weird.
Indiana Jones, which was supposed to be their next big, you know, exclusive, is coming to PlayStation. I think the only
Mm.
one they really have anymore is Starfield, which I was gonna get eventually, but I haven't yet. Um, but yeah, the Wave One lineup for Game Pass for February this month is going to have
Hmm.
Far Cry New Dawn, another Crab's Treasure, which I haven't heard of, Uden
Ah,
Chronicle 100 Heroes,
okay.
Starfield, uh,
Okay.
Madden 25, which
Hmm.
we're recording this actually. Let's see, today is Saturday, so tomorrow's Super Bowl, so you can
Super
kind of.
Bowl.
Yeah, Kingdom Two Crowns, which I've never heard of, and Avowed, on
Mhm.
when that releases on February 18th. So
Oh, sick.
Xbox is doing all right now for those games. If anybody's interested, were you an Xbox gamer?
Nah, to be honest, like I was more in this order. Like the crux of my childhood was probably GameCube, PS2, Xbox 360 in that
Hmm.
order, right?
Okay.
And I feel like kind of now, like if I look at my setup over here,
Hmm.
I truthfully, I feel like the only reason I would want an Xbox right now is just to say that I have all four, like right, like the Nintendo, the Sony,
Yeah.
the Xbox, the PC. Um, so I mean, it's not my favorite, and I think it
Hmm.
wasn't just because for me it wasn't necessarily doing anything
Yeah.
bad per se. It's just like the games that they had in comparison to the games that some of the other ones had just probably weren't really as up to snuff for me. But that's interesting though. At least for the I'm familiar with another Crab's Treasure. That's actually something that I'm hoping to play on stream sometime this
Okay.
year. So fun little indie game roguelike, I believe,
Hmm.
of pretty much a crab just trying to, you know, get its
Find his
treasure.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do now is, since we got all the news out of the way, I'm gonna ask you 5 questions. I got three off the top of my head that have come up, and then the other two I'll just come up with as we go.
Yeah, sounds good.
So my first question for you. I went to dinner earlier and I told them my dinner. Now, Jimmy John's or Subway?
Ooh, this is a great question. Huh. So, oh man. So I'll tell you, I think for me, when I
Mhm,
think about sub sandwiches, I'm looking for two major components, right? And
mhm.
this is probably going to sound obvious, but the first one is obviously the bread,
Okay.
right? And I think that in that realm, I believe Subway wins because there's a little bit more variety. Plus, I'm just I can become a degenerate for some Italian herbs and cheese,
Okay.
right? Um, and then the second component is the filling, and I think over when it comes to the filling, Jimmy John's wins. And I think for me, I don't think I've ever had a complaint in terms of not getting enough filling for the sub sandwiches.
Hmm.
Um, which then, right, if I'm thinking about that, I'm like, okay, well then, which one do I feel like values more based on the one that I don't think the thing wins in? And
Hmm.
I think for me, that probably ends up going to Jimmy John's.
Okay.
Um, and I'll tell you why, right? I think that the bread isn't disgraceful enough for me to completely write it off.
Hmm.
Plus, to be honest with you, I feel like this is a little bit of a nostalgia bait for me because There just so happened to be a Jimmy John's right by my undergraduate campus that would
Mhm.
always, always come in clutch for me. It was either very easily walkable, like no more than 5 minutes.
Mhm.
The delivery was also not bad, and the people there knew me, so they knew kind of my taste and exactly what I was looking for, and they did me additional favors after that because I was a pretty loyal customer. So I say all that to say I think I'm going Jimmy John's. But what I will say, I think that Subway,
Mhm.
with everything that's kind of gone on, I kind of feel like it almost has a bit of, it started off really good and then there was a little bit of a dip because of all of like the stuff that was going around and the scandals, but I
Yeah.
feel like they're kind of sort of coming back in their own way.
Mhm.
To which, like, if somebody, nowadays, like, you want to go to Subway, I'm not like immediately looking at them strange, maybe like I was a handful of years ago, but like, if you're telling me to pick between the two, I think you got to give me Jimmy John's.
Yeah. Also, they got rid of their kicking ranch for a little bit, which is the best stuff in the world. That kicking ranch is
Yeah,
amazing, and they brought it back, and they said it's
man.
back forever now. So I'm like, yes. I
these
mean
are
that.
these are these are the ways.
Yep.
These are ways to tilt me back. You know.
Yep. It's like it's perfect. It's like the best sauce. It's like a little bit of your your ranch taste, but then it also has a jalapeno kick in it. So it's like
Yep.
So it's not
I
like
need my sinuses to get cleared
yep,
whenever I'm.
yep. What's your
It
go-to?
helps.
What's your go-to sub when you go to Jimmy John's?
Oh, I think this was. I kind of think it was like what called the, like, what was it? The giant some. It was the one where they just threw a bunch of stuff on a sandwich.
Hmm.
And I think this was when I was younger and I didn't really have to care too much about my metabolism because I could just eat whatever the hell I wanted.
Yep.
And I would just, so I would usually get that, a cookie, a drink, some chips.
Ooh,
Um,
their chips are
Let me
perfect.
go ahead and let me see if I can find it.
Hmm.
Because I know exactly what it was. Um, I will say now that I'm kind of looking at this menu right now,
Hmm.
I am a Club Lulu kind of guy. I do
Mm.
like a turkey bacon lettuce. Um,
Yeah.
Spicy East Coast Italian is always going to be a solid looking one for me. Um, yeah, it was the JJ Gargantuan. Yep, give me the salami, the Coca-Cola, the turkey, the roast beef, ham, provolone, onion, lettuce, tomato, mayo, oil and vinegar, and
Yeah.
oregano basil. I don't care about the calories. Throw that on my sandwich and let me go to town.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I do the Italian nightclubs my go-to, which is
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
capicola, salami, ham, and
Mm-hmm.
then provolone cheese, and then whatever else that I can add to it.
Mm.
My second question for you now, since we were talking about this also earlier, who's your favorite Bond?
My favorite. What was that? Sorry.
Bond.
Ooh. Ah, man. That's a great question because I think that I almost am wondering, do I go with my immediate thought, if I'm not thinking a whole lot, is
Hmm.
probably Daniel Craig, and I don't know if that's recency bias for me, but I think that he's had, if you're looking at his body of work,
Hmm.
I don't necessarily know if he is the best Bond, but
Hmm.
I think the series set him up the most for success.
Yeah.
Because when I think kind of about the movies and how really like blockbuster they felt,
Hmm.
right? When you're thinking about like Skyfall is like a perfect example for me, right?
Right.
Bond, just as much as the gadgets and the girl and the mission is synonymous, that like soundtrack is just as synonymous as well. And if you're telling me, this is no ding to any of the earlier Bonds, right?
Hmm.
But if you're telling me I get Adele in her prime,
Yeah.
arguably still in her prime, Adele is an amazing artist, but like, you're telling me I get prime Adele on an opening for a song, you can't lose. It could be the most lackluster thing on planet Earth. You've already got me locked in and immersed because of the opening. Like, yeah. So yeah, I think my answer is Daniel Craig, but I mean, like that, you really could just ask me that on any other day, really.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I understand. Yeah, I've always been a Connery guy. I just something about Connery.
Mm.
He's
Oh yeah.
that suave. He's ironically, I don't know if you know this. This is random trivia for every Bond fan.
Hmm.
Some might know it, some might not. Actually, Ian Fleming, who wrote the Bond books, I actually have one of his books. Actually,
Wow.
Thunderball. Yeah,
Nice.
I just bought it. I seen it
Okay.
at a used bookstore, so I was like, what? Um,
Oh yeah.
but ironically, when Sean Connery was cast, Ian Fleming actually did not like him as casting for Bond. Um, I
Okay.
After I believe it was Doctor No. I think that was the first one that Connery did.
Hmm.
After that came out, Ian Fleming loved him so much as Bond that actually Bond's background was changed in the next book.
Oh wow.
So yeah, he was just English, English MI6 guy. Well, after Connery and Ian Fleming being blown away by him, he actually changed it from English to Scottish English. So he was kind of both.
Mm.
So he was just
Hell
so
yeah.
blown away by it. I was like, that's so cool. But yeah, he ironically, my favorite Bond movie is actually Gold Member, or not Gold Member, Goldfinger.
Wow. Okay. I was gonna say mine is GoldenEye. I don't
Oh
know
yeah,
how I feel about like Pierce as well.
yeah.
Like honestly, Sean is probably the answer that if I'm not super recency biased, that I'd
Mhm.
probably land on as well. But my favorite, like in terms of concept, was probably GoldenEye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they screwed Pierce Brosnan over after that because I mean they set it so high with Goldeneye. I mean Goldeneye was like the pinnacle of his movies. Then
Yep.
The World Is Not Enough wasn't bad, but I forget the one that comes out between Goldeneye and World Is Not Enough. There was one in between,
Oh
and
yeah.
then they
God,
came.
it was
Was that
Tomorrow Never Dies?
I think that's what it was called. Yeah,
No, or
yeah, it
yeah,
was.
Tomorrow Never Dies, I think.
Yeah, and then they came out with the last one, which was terrible for him. I felt that was. Ugh. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
ugh. And it,
Like yeah.
yeah. It's like you want to watch a Pierce Brosnan movie? Pierce Brosnan, James Bond? Sure, as long as it's World Is Not Enough or Goldeneye, I can watch those two and be fine. But then as soon as
Yep.
it's like, no, no, the other two not so much.
It start me earlier. But
Hmm.
if you're talking about give me an early Pierce movie and
Yep,
now we're
you're
talking.
set.
I can get behind you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I guess my third question for you now, because I thought of another one. Uh, what
Yeah.
is your favorite video game genre?
Ooh. My favorite video game genre.
Hmm.
Um well, as I figure this out, I can tell you what it's not. I definitely am not a huge sports game fan.
Hmm.
I feel like Nintendo might have a couple of like exceptions for me, but I have always been the proponent of, or haven't necessarily subscribed to the Madden, the 2K, and even the FIFA turned FC kind of culture now because I feel like I'd rather just go out and play those games.
Hmm.
And that's no, that's no
No.
fault to anybody that does. But I just kind of think that what I don't like are the people who either play that or just like get the new Call of Duty game and then turn around and complain that there are no games to play. And it's like, well, yeah, you're putting yourself in such a tiny box. If
Hmm.
you just go and look just outside of your window, you can see a bunch of other cool things.
Yeah.
Um uh Let me think. Let me think because I'll tell you I'll tell you my favorite video game
Hmm.
franchise. I mean, I feel like this probably isn't like too too much of a surprise to anybody, but like my favorite is Pokemon.
Mm.
Um, so it's like I'm almost wondering, is that the one that I just go ahead and say, kind of in terms of the genre,
Hmm.
right? Because I could very much just go and say RPG, um, and maybe that might be my answer where I land, but
Hmm.
I think Metroidvanias is up
Mm.
there for me as well because I find myself, I think especially ever since uh, the games that I played on stream like Celeste and Hollow Knight,
Hmm.
I found myself really loving platforming. Right? I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because I have the determination to kind of see it through, or I have a little bit of a natural ability to do it. But like, if a game has a platforming element, I'm almost like inclined a little bit more to try it, which
Yeah.
is crazy. But yeah, I think that's just more of a general shout out to all of the lovely indie games that I've been able to play.
Mm.
I don't even know if that's a genre that I can count.
Indie.
I'll
Yeah, that
probably
works.
say RPG. I think
Okay.
RPG kind of has enough of an umbrella where there are a lot of my favorite franchises that I've been able to play and have yet to play, right?
Yep.
Um, but I definitely want to take the opportunity to give a shout out to all of the indie game publishers, developers.
Hmm.
Continue to do your thing, even within the subgenres within that larger umbrella that you have, because
Hmm.
y'all are doing the Lord's work in terms of providing us wonderful opportunities to be able to play for a fraction of the price. I mean, man,
Yeah, definitely.
man.
Yeah, I
So
actually.
hopefully I answered your question. I don't
Yeah, you're
know.
good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, my favorite video game is an RPG. So it's
Nice.
yeah, Legend Dragoon for anybody who's played it. And if you haven't, it's on PS5 right now for like $10, and
Jeez.
it needs a remake or you know any new sequel, prequel. I don't care. Give me one of the three.
Give us some love. Give us
Yeah,
some love.
it's
Yeah.
incredible. It's was it way different from any of the games that came out at that time. I mean, it came out around Final Fantasy. I think Final Fantasy 7 just came out. I think
Hmm.
Final Fantasy 8 was coming out, and Legend Dragoon was coming out, and then Final Fantasy 9 came out like a little bit right behind it. So it kind of got
Yeah.
pushed back because of those, and there wasn't as noticed. But now it's I actually more good video game trivia for people. Legend Dragoon was actually the first game that was made in Japan that actually sold more in America than it did in Japan. So
Yeah. Because that's one of those like that. If I'm remembering correctly,
hmm.
it came out in Japan right before 2000, and then in
Yep,
America, it came out around maybe like June-ish.
yep,
And especially with that style of game that was a little bit more bread and butter for like the
hmm,
Japanese games,
yeah,
I think that almost was just that was the all right, everybody let's just stop and look at this because
yeah,
if you're telling me this sells more in America for the
hmm,
first time, I assume than in Japan,
yep,
maybe we need to start making a little bit more of these types of games and these types of stories here, which
exactly.
I think, yeah, Dragoon deserves so much more credit because I truly do think that it ended up being a catalyst for a lot of the kind of like the JRPG or that like type of style games that you
Yeah,
end up seeing today, really.
yep, and definitely it had actually a unique what was called the edition system. The only other
Hmm.
game that really had I would say edition system kind of like that would have been Legend of Gaia, which also had kind of a fighting. You got to choose what attacks you want to do, kind of by click
Hmm.
left and right on the D-pad and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. But yeah, Legend Dragoon.
Oh
If you
yeah.
haven't played it yet, buy on PS5. Let Sony know that they need to remake this because I mean this is a game that has online right now a petition for like 2 million people have signed it or something like that now for them to
Oh
remake it.
man, let,
Yeah,
let me be 2,000,001.
something like that. Yeah, it's insane, but
Yeah.
yeah. Um, all right, let's see. That was question number three, I believe, right?
Hmm.
All right. So, my fourth question for you. What it okay, if you didn't have, or I guess if there's a game that you want that would be your holy grail of video games that like either A, it'd be the game that you would never buy another game again just because you own that one, or B, it's like a system or console that you've always wanted that would be like, oh, this is it. This is my wanted forever and ever. Is there a game or console that would be your holy grail?
Oh man. Oh man. There are two. There
Okay.
are two, there are two, there are two. Um Man, and I was just thinking about this earlier.
Hmm.
There are two for me. The
Okay.
first one, I'm gonna go with the PS2, and
Mm.
I feel like this is just gonna be like nostalgia for me. But
Okay.
specifically, there is a Gundam Hayakushiki PlayStation 2
Ooh.
that is like it's golden. It has the exact Hayakushiki mark right on the top of where the PS2, the upper left. That is like as a collector because I kind
Hmm.
of have started I think realizing now that I'm getting a little bit older that I really want to be able to have as close to a complete like discography for like some of these games that I really grew up with, and
Hmm.
I've been eyeing the PS2 and I've been eyeing the GameCube. I kind of started the GameCube in my like early 20s, like right like I
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
maybe when I was like 19,
Hmm.
and I've been like starting that collection ever since. But like the PlayStation 2, yeah, Gundam Hayakushiki, that gold, it's something about that is just chef's kiss. Absolutely chef's kiss. So I'd probably say that if you gave me that and like the PS2 discography, I'm cool.
Hmm.
The other one for me, the other one for me is ooh, is the GameCube.
Hmm.
Um, but I would probably and I kinda hover a little bit back and forth
Right.
because I
Right.
love the idea of just being able to have like these rare GameCubes.
Hmm.
I would love to get my hands on an like a like a yellow. It's the yellowish orange GameCube. I
Hmm.
almost got like you know how like GameCube in back in the day was called the lunchbox.
Yeah.
I think this one like I don't know if anybody else called this, but like I called it the cheese box just because I remember seeing it once and it reminded me of just like this big block of cheese. And
Yeah.
like people have the purple one, the black one, the silver one, and like a handful of other ones that ended up being modded, but like that one on that like orangish yellow one,
Hmm.
I think I've only seen that like physically once or twice in my life, and I would love to be able to get my hands on that one. So
Yep.
if you gave me a coin flip, heads was the golden PS2, tails was the cheese box, and you gave me the discography,
Hmm.
I'm happily flipping that coin and whatever it ends up landing on. I
You're
hope
set.
it lands. I hope it lands where I can get both. So
Oh
yeah,
man. Darn. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that's actually one thing I didn't really get in. I bought the consoles, but I didn't buy like the special edition besides the GameCube and the PSP. Those are the only two that I bought. Like
Ooh, okay.
special edition. Yeah, I got the silver GameCube, which came with Super Mario or Metal Gear Solid. No, Smash Brothers Melee.
Yeah,
You have the Melee bundle, and that was a silver one, which is I like that one. That was cool.
man.
The purple's all right, but it was just something about that silver, that look was
Oh yeah, you
gorgeous.
like the chrome,
Yeah.
right? It was
Yep.
nice.
And then the PSP one, I got the Daxter PSP, which was that silver one that they had, which was real nice.
Yeah,
The only
that's
other
good.
PSP I would have gotten at that point because they were on sale and they were you know Kmart was going out of business, so guess who got a cheap
Yeah.
PSP at that point? This guy. But they also had the God of War one, the
Okay.
the red one with his face on the back, Kratos' face on the back of it. That was a nice one too.
Toys R Us's greatest hits. I
Yep.
remember like going in the PSP section, and that kind of got me like I think I ended up getting a white PSP, but
Okay.
I
Yeah.
remember like kind of going back back to Toys R Us because I was always looking for games. I'd
Yeah.
end up seeing stuff like that, and I'd be like, "Oh man, if I just
Yep.
waited a little bit more, or like I don't think I can trade this in to get another one." But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, they had a Xbox 360, I think it was. I think it was a 360. Might have been the one. I think it was a 360 though,
ooh,
where they had the
okay,
R2D2 one that came out. And I was like, "Oh man," because I had bought my
that's
Xbox
sick.
360 and it was like, "Son of a gun, I got the black, the black one or whatever for that 360." And I was like, "Crap. If I waited a week,
Yep,
I could have bought it."
could have been
But
the chosen one.
yep,
But
exactly.
That's what you have now, right?
Yep.
Like I'm eyeing those systems like
Hmm.
insanely so. And it's crazy because like the way that I like my setup, and you'll kind of
Hmm.
notice it if you're looking around, I like black and white with pops of color. I feel like that's
Hmm.
exactly where my aesthetic is and
Yep.
exactly where I would like to be. Those games, like those consoles would just stick out like sore thumbs.
Hmm.
But I don't care, you know,
Yeah.
because they're just like they mean something to me. And I feel
Yep.
like if you're gonna be a collector, you might as well go for the best, right?
Exactly. Yep. I what I've
So,
decided to do now, since I've been trying to collect more because so I have basically every console from Nintendo, Xbox. I missed Sega. I have all
okay.
the PlayStation consoles: Vita, PSP, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, PS1, whatever. Not
Yeah.
with me right now, sadly, so they're still in my mom. So my only Sega console I had was the Dreamcast. I just bought a Genesis for $60, so that wasn't too bad.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I'm going to be going back, getting the Mega Master System, and I'm gonna get the Saturn. And I want to get the Game Gear for my next three console buys. But
Mm, okay.
Saturn's, I
Sick.
guess, the most expensive one to collect for. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, Sega Saturn. That has some gems on it, boy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it will be a time if you're trying to go ahead and try to collect those. But
Yeah,
hey,
because the main one that I want on the Saturn, like Panzer Dragoon. There's one that
okay.
a couple of the games that are only exclusive to Saturn. They haven't come out on any other systems. They are just stuck on that console. So it's like, son of a gun! I have to buy both, the console just to play them because I have the first one that
Yeah.
was remade and released for PS4. So I was like, well, I'll get that
Gotcha.
and then see what happens. But my fifth and final question before we get into the main bread and potatoes of the podcast is your four your Mount Rushmore of animes.
Ooh. Okay. 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 Ooh. Okay. This actually isn't as crazy as I thought of it that it was going to be.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm putting Cowboy Bebop up there.
Ooh.
Cowboy Bebop is my absolute favorite classic anime. Like, and if I'm talking about like um, how I feel about James Bond in an
Hmm.
anime sense is how I feel about Spike Spiegel.
Yeah.
And when you kind of realize that Spike ended up just really like that voice actor, Tom, I believe his name is, was the
Hmm.
voice of the dude doing the whole Toonami situation, of which I
Yeah.
found out about all of the other anime. Yeah, I'd be remiss if I did not put Cowboy Bebop on there. Okay, Naruto is probably the next one that I would put on there.
Hmm.
That is my favorite of all time. I love that story. I love the characters. I was the dude trying to like recognize hand signs and like wanted a headband and wanted to run through the. I was that dude. Um, let's see. Uh, what's another one for me? Mm, I would put. I think I would be. Ooh, man. Okay, we're gonna go anime, and then I'm gonna give you a fifth one. Like you have to
Okay.
kind of like go over the other one.
Yeah.
I think that I have to put the One Piece series up there, right?
Hmm.
That is something that for me, um, I feel like everybody when they were younger, or at
Hmm.
least like in that generation growing up, you had one of three pathways that you needed to go. You were
Hmm.
either going down the Naruto pathway, you were going down the One Piece pathway, or you were going down the Bleach pathway, right? Those were the three that I feel like when people were really getting like into anime, those were usually like you were one of those three.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that Naruto was the initial path that I chose, but in watching as I've gotten a little bit older through the One Piece series,
Hmm.
mind you, there's a lot of sifting that I need to do because there's a lot of episodes and then a whole lot of filler that happens outside of that. But like when you really get into the meat and potatoes, you really are like in there, and it's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful to see. That and I think the live action did definitely help,
Mm-hmm.
cement that for me because it was just a reintroduction to a lot of the characters and a lot of the arcs that I thought were just like really awesome. That what makes One Piece One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's one of those like series that I'm happy to say that I'm going through.
Yeah.
And then I think fourth, the one that I didn't mention because I feel like that's just what everybody was watching. I gotta put Dragon Ball up there,
Yeah.
right? I think those are my Mount Rushmore. I mean, I feel like Dragon Ball, and that entire series. What's understood doesn't even need to necessarily be explained. Like,
Yep.
rest in peace to the boy Akira, and like all of the things that she ended up doing. And it's like whether you were there for, whether you hopped in for the Frieza saga, or you hopped in for the Majin Buu saga, or the Cell saga, or like Dragon Ball GT, or like even some of newer stuff with like
Ugh.
Dragon Ball Super, right? Like it's gotten a little complicated where I've been like,
Yeah.
all right, keep me with the OG, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll maybe casually tap back in. But I think it's something just about the movement that Akira and that
Mm-hmm.
series really were able to do where people really like felt
Mm-hmm.
bad. Like it really moved people when they heard about his passing. Like, and it was one of those where it was just like you really don't know kind
Right.
of what you have until it's gone, right? And
Yep.
obviously the series is going to be here forevermore, and I don't think that we will let Akira die a second time because I feel like there's
Mm-hmm.
like that initial death and then the second death is when people forget, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people stop talking. I don't think that for very much the foreseeable future and a handful of decades after that
Yeah.
we're not going to talk because Dragon Ball is just going to be cemented up there. So that's probably my Mount Rushmore, my hidden gem, and people will sometimes will like when we're thinking about the specific definition.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would be silly whether whether we're counted as anime or not. I gotta go and throw some flowers to Avatar: The Last Airbender. When I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying like a beautiful story from beginning to end, character development, plot devices, stuff that gets you immersed. Whether we call it an anime is neither here nor there for me. Just because
Right.
when I think about like just in general an animated series that really like shaped my worldview, shaped a lot of like what I value in a show, especially when I'm looking to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really have to look too further from there. Like I grew up with that. I grew up with the
Yep.
show, kind of like I did with like Naruto and like Dragon Ball and stuff like that. But like I
Yep.
remember where I was finding out about Avatar, and I remember exactly where I was when I ended up having to do that Nickelodeon special, like at my like TV, wondering like, is Aang gonna win? Like, what is gonna
Yep.
happen? Like, is he gonna do it? You know? So yeah,
I, I
those are my 4+1.
I will say, since he said, we don't want to forget about Akira. I think we can forget about GT because Akira had nothing to do with GT, and that was, that was their
Yeah,
own
you know.
creation. Ugh.
I threw in GT in there and I was kind of like, sometimes you
Ugh.
remember things for the greatness it was, and sometimes you remember things just because
Yeah.
it just so happens to be there. But hey, right? Like,
Yep.
we remember greatness for what it is, right? And can and can separate the two where they need to, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah. We grew up in the same. Tsunami was coming. I was on when we were coming home from school. And I remember there was Code Lyoko that came on.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Dragon Ball Z came on, right? They were like back to back or something like that. Then
hmm
the other one that everybody overlooks, and I think is one of the greatest of all time, which I know is crazy, is Zoids.
hmm Oh, come on
Zoids
now.
was so
Come on now.
good.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Oh, Zoids
Oh,
was amazing. It was like so
yeah.
underrated. Uh oh man, there was Liger Zero. Oh, just mm, the things they
That
could
was
do.
baby's like first mech. Like if you're
Yeah.
like that's what I feel like a lot of people when we're talking about like the Gundams or even
Yep.
like maybe like the Gurren Lagans, for example, right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of a lot of that started with Zoids.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm so
Yep.
glad you gave that a shout. That is,
Yep.
yeah.
There was then after that was Adult Swim, and they had some of their anime on there too. They had the Big O, which
Mm.
was the I always call when somebody asks me what in the world's a Big O, I'm like, all right, just imagine Batman and Gundam put together.
Yep.
That's a Big O. That's all it is. It was so
Put them
good.
together.
And that one, and I've always been big into uh, Yu Yu Hakusho was another one I was big into growing up.
Yep.
The live action for Yu Yu Hakusho was so quick. They got it done in 5 episodes. It was weird.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Cowboy, like he said, Cowboy Bebop, it's classic. Sad that they canceled the live action series. I thought the live action series was great. The guy that played oh, I can't think of his name. The driver, the Jet.
Yeah. Yep.
Jet. I thought he was nailed that part. Like it sounded exactly like the voice actor. I thought Spike was good. They just were getting into freaking Ed, and I was like, come on, what? And they just
Come
canceled it right then.
on.
Like really?
Yeah.
Like we're gonna get season 2 to Cowboy, which everybody wanted season 2 for the first, the first anime and
Hmm.
stuff like that, but never got it. And then yeah, if I was to put, because mine would be Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball Z, just
Hmm.
because of the ones I've watched, more as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
Zoids would definitely be on there. And then the fourth one, which a lot of people I think it's crazy, is another series that only lasted one season.
Mm.
And um oh my goodness, why am I drawing a blank on the name of it now? It just complete I could see the character Trigun.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Trigun, yep.
Okay. Okay. I like
Because
that.
yeah, because Trigun was so good too, and it was like
Hmm.
kind of that kind of boy. My wife is big in Inuyasha. Um,
Oh man. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
so we can kind of catching up on that, and I actually got I don't know if you can see them in there. They're pop figures, the
Yeah. The
Inuyasha pop figures.
the Funko.
Yep, and
Oh. Okay. If you're talking about Funko, hold on. Hold
yeah,
on. Wait. I gotta. um,
yep. Everybody, Funkos have been taken over for some odd reason. I don't know why. They just kind of popped, but
Literally. When I tell you, something that I am sad about is that I don't really get to because I went through a Funko like phase
phase.
where I was just collecting, right?
Yeah,
And I will say that for me, I was always trying to like get the Funkos of like the animes and the shows that really like I grew up on, right?
that
And
meant yeah,
ideally, something I was thinking about was trying to put them like on walls. You might not necessarily be able to see them. I was thinking potentially like maybe in between the artwork, I could like be able to like put some stuff there. But I'm still trying to figure it out. What I
yeah.
haven't necessarily been able to do. Um I've got a Cowboy Bebop
Oh, nice,
Battle of the Fallen Angels,
nice.
Funko scene, and I just was like, up until like recently,
Mm,
it has pretty much always just been like right off to the side, like there, because I just think that that is just such an iconic scene, and I love the
yep,
show, obviously, and yeah, I'm a fan. I don't know what it is about the Funkos, but I was like, they're so easy to collect. It's like I
yeah.
want one. Oh, I'll just put it in the cart
Just
and it'll
grab
get there in
this.
a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Also, Tank is one of the best theme songs of all time, easily. So good.
we're losing
Uh,
the plot. Like we need more good. Like I
mm,
need more good classic
yeah.
uh things like that.
What? We'll actually start with the interview now. What did you think of the Cowboy Bebop live anime?
I thought it was good. Or rather for me, I thought it was okay. I think for me, I let myself
Hmm.
and this was a lesson for me. I let myself go into the series as too much of a purist
Hmm.
for the animated show. And I think something that I needed to learn is that I needed to separate my thoughts of what I thought about the anime versus what I thought about the live action. And I think
Hmm.
when doing that, I was able to find myself enjoying it a little bit more.
Hmm.
So something that I'd love to be able to do. I'd love to revisit it and kind of
Hmm.
see my thoughts on it now, kind of with this framework, because
Yeah.
if we're looking, right, we're so blessed to be in a situation now where uh, when there's an anime or a video game adaptation, you immediately don't have to like wince. You don't immediately have to like cringe because back in the day it was rough, right? Like it was
Yeah.
bad.
Hmm.
Um,
Dragon Ball,
but I
for
think when we're
instance.
kind of yeah, like we're talking, I even hate bringing this up. There was a movie for Avatar: The Last Airbender
Yep.
that I was, interestingly enough, supposed to be one of like an extra in. Like I was in
Mm.
a little bit of an era where I was doing different roles and different things where I could, like get myself hopefully into stardom. Me and my agent at the time went against that, and I'm so
Hmm.
glad that we did because when I tell you that is so infamous, where when people said a while later that they were doing another live action, people
Hmm.
immediately were like, this has to be
Mm.
like really good, right?
Yeah.
Or you're going to be like clowned on for the next 15 years, like we did the initial one.
Yep.
So, yeah. But I say that to say, I thought it was okay. I'd love to be able to like see if my mind changes at all given uh, the framework I've decided to take.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. See, that was my thing. Like, it felt like I loved it. Like, it was, I thought they did great. I thought they, followed the story really well, and they kind of added some more backstory to the characters. And I
Yeah.
feel like that was the thing that kind of hurt a lot of people because then when it first came out, they're like, "Oh, we gotta make sure it's gonna be faithful to the original, but but adding more
Mm-hmm.
stuff." And then that's when kind of the Cowboy Bebop fans were like, "No, we don't want backstory. We don't like Faye Valentine having side piece."
Give me them hands.
Yeah.
That's what I came to see.
Yeah, and they're like, I don't know how I feel about that. And then finding out like who her actual mom was and all that stuff, like I'll find all that background. I feel like they were adding a lot more to it. That was great. But some people are
Mm-hmm.
like, no, it's just not. I mean, I liked the guy that played Spike. I thought he did a great job. And I think, like I said earlier, the captain was perfect. He had exact same voice, everything like that. It was
Yeah.
just perfect for it. But yeah, they were kind of. It was that they used the same theme song. It just felt like like people were just all of a sudden hating it when it first came out, like all of a sudden out of the blue. But I don't know. I guess we'll see if they ever bring it back to like Hulu or something like that, where they'll be like, wait, let's jump on it again. But um, so I got with on animes and stuff like that. Did you was there somebody that got you into animes, or was it just something that you kind of jumped into?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I kind of feel like the internet almost got me into anime.
Hmm.
I'll say I was finding out a lot of stuff around the same time,
Okay.
and I think that the internet definitely can be a bit of the wild, wild west.
Right.
Uh, but I was a Newgrounds kid,
Mm.
and like I was gonna say, I remember primarily, like I think my first ever instance of anime was actually a manga. You know what? It's actually a manga that I ended up having. It
Mm.
was in my library in elementary school. And
Oh
mind
wow.
you, yeah, right. This was kind of crazy because I went to a Christian elementary school. Like, so by all intents and purposes, anime is such a beautiful genre, but it's one
Mm.
of those where you really gotta like toe the line a little bit, depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
Yatsuba is honestly my favorite. Like I would jump at the opportunity if that ever got in anime. It's a
Mm.
manga as far as I know. They might have a couple of different like fan edits and like things of that nature, but you know what? Actually, give me another second. I think I might be able to pull something special. This book right here. This book right here
Mm.
changed my entire life in terms of just like finding out about like anime and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I would say it's a mix between that and the time that I spent on a website called Gaia Online, which was
Mm,
essentially like your typical meet people in like the plaza, create your avatar. It was a little anime-esque and like anime inspired, and
mm,
then like stuff like Super Smash Flash, right, where they were just throwing a bunch of like characters in there. So like
mm-hmm.
between that, all of that, and finding out about Toonami at the same time, it was pretty much curtains from there. Like I'm talking about like some OGs, like Inuyasha was playing.
Yep.
Zatch Bell is the
Oh
deep cut for
wow.
a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get Backers is probably another one that was like that I ended up finding out. But like it was stuff like that.
Mm,
And luckily I was in a position where I had a group of friends
mm-hmm.
who were also who just so also to happened to be into anime or were like discovering anime around that time. So I feel like the kids nowadays have it so great
Mm-hmm.
because anime and stuff like that wasn't necessarily as popular as when I was
Mm-hmm.
growing up. But like, and I'm really glad that I was able to have friends that were also into it, and like I didn't really run into any like bad situations or
Yeah.
like bullying or anything. I was just hanging with my friends, and we all got to kind of just nerd out and find out about that stuff together. But yeah, I'd probably say a mix of all of those things. Um,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, they nowadays the kids got lucky too because we had to try and find it, on internet or hope it's on Cartoon Network
Oh,
or Boomerang or something like that. Now they got
oh my
Crunchyroll.
goodness.
Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll, right? Like, we need a my Crunchyroll premium subscription currently should
Hmm.
be free for all
Yeah.
of the times that I had to anime 1, 2, 3. I had
Yeah.
to stay up with the hopes. Like, there wasn't streaming. There
Nope.
was just you hope that you found out about the episode. They knew that it was there 8 p.m., 7 p.m.
Yep.
Central, and nobody really explained what 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Central meant. Like that, I
Yeah.
wasn't aware of time zones, so you just had to hope you got it right, or you
Yep.
hoped that you were there an hour early, right, so
Hmm.
that you wouldn't miss it.
Yep.
So yeah,
You,
some good times, dude.
did you ever? This one's a couple throwbacks for you. Did you ever watch Fully Cooley?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
That was one of the first
Really
ones I got into
good.
too. Yeah, gross stuff out of
Yeah,
his forehead, people,
come
which
on,
was
like,
which is great. Now the other one that I think gets looked up past a lot, and you're gonna remember this because you watch Cartoon Network, and it just came back out a couple years ago to finish the series because I believe the guy that played Aku died, but Samurai Jack.
come
Samurai
on.
Jack was so good. That was
Yeah,
our yep. Yep.
yeah, that, yeah.
Yep, Samurai Jack was so good. I mean, that was on Cartoon Network all the time. And then, like we were talking about earlier, Adult Swim had so many. They also had, I think near the end, they started bringing in Afro Samurai and
Yup.
Mr. Sam Jackson. And those,
Samuel Jackson, man. Yeah,
yep,
the goat, man. I love
yeah,
that dude.
definitely. Oh, he's great. Mace
Yeah.
Windu. He's been in a lot of things. You got
Hmm.
the other guys were aimed for the bushes.
Yep.
Him and The Rock.
Man.
So many
Hmm.
classics. Yeah, we gotta do an anime episode one of these days where we just talk about anime all
Oh,
the time.
please. I'm telling you, man. Like
That'd be easy.
I'm even yeah, that's without question. Like I one of the only figurines up here that I own is from ReZero.
Mm,
That is Rem in a sundress. I love Rem. I think Rem is best girl. There's a situation right now where we're trying to figure out, at least the anime onlys,
hmm.
whether she gonna, get about this coma. but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, just anime is one of those things. I mean, like it. I
Yeah.
was lucky enough to grow up in a great household, but when I'm telling you, like, anime really raised me, like,
Hmm.
and gave me a lot of stuff that I consider near and dear to my heart, like, in terms of, like, worldview, in terms of just, like, you're looking at Naruto coming up and, being different based
Hmm.
on circumstances that he doesn't necessarily understand.
Yep.
Always like willing to never give up, or like when we're talking about like Uncle Iroh and making sure that like
Yep.
you're always willing to keep the peace but turn up for the people that like you really, really care about. Like there's so many lessons that you can grasp from this, and it's so much more than what I feel like a lot of people made fun of anime early on, which was like this thing is just all fan service and you're this
Yep.
and you're that. And when you peel back the layers, you really find that there are like some really important and mature themes that a lot of people don't necessarily think about. So
Yep. And
yeah.
it also taught us that to think about somebody lower than us because look what happened to Yamcha, and he was thinking the guy
Oh
was
my.
weaker and got blown up.
All right, like don't mess with individuals you think that like are that are
Weak.
different. Like I
Yep.
think about that, you could end up getting put in a pack like Yamcha, or like
Yep.
that whole There was a whole episode. I'm like kind of whiplashing a little bit, but like in Teen Titans,
No. Yeah.
where you were kind of that whole like very important episode. I think especially like to me, where I was like, oh, this is Cyborg and Starfire talking
Hmm.
about very prevalent issues of like
Yep.
sometimes just because of where you come from, or like the physical features and things that you can't necessarily control, people are going to treat you different. But it's like you can't control how people treat you, but you can control how you treat others. And
Yep.
that like is just such a like
Yeah.
if we just show that Teen Titans episode like nationwide, we might be in a better place. I don't know, like so.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I will ask because I know you do stream a lot. How did you come up with the Third Night name?
man. So the third night, yeah, I wish it was. I wish the name of how it ended up coming to be was cooler than what it is, and maybe the basis of it is already cool enough. So
Yeah.
my literal last name is Knight.
Oh,
I,
nice.
I'm so happy that I got to roll some sort of nat 20 in terms of a last name, but like when we're thinking of Knight, literally the Knight, like that's just what it is.
Hmm.
And it just so happened to be that I my suffix is the third, right?
Mm.
So I was like, oh, well, if I can just put two and two together, or two and one together, we get the third night. And for me, early on especially, it was always a matter of, and I think when you're getting into content, it's so important to make sure that you can have uniformity throughout your socials, because with
Hmm.
the digital age that we live in right now, people are here today, gone 2 seconds later. So like
Yep.
if you can cause people to not have to go over that mental hurdle of like, oh well, like I'm this on Instagram, but I'm this on Twitch, but I'm also this on YouTube,
Hmm.
it I think my best thing is if you find me on one, you can find me on almost all of them pretty much.
Yep.
So that's how it came to be. It ended up kind of working where the third night actually wasn't originally available when I went on Twitch. It
Oh
was
wow.
one of those, yeah. So when I first started, the third night wasn't available, so I was like, okay, let me just do the third night TTV. So that was there for about 8 months to a year, I
Hmm.
think. And then I was watching a dude called Harris Heller, and honestly, hey, Harris, we know you're gonna watch this, so shout out to you. About just like stream tech and just really getting into streaming, and I loved this dude's model because
Hmm.
he was the dude that at the end of the day he just wanted you to be happy while streaming, right?
Hmm.
So he kind of had given a little bit of a recommendation of maybe not being as literal with your username. So from there, I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and maybe drop one of the T's. Uh, so I just went by the Third Night TV for a little while, and then I somehow got into contact with the original dude on Twitch who was named the Third Night, and I went, well, what can I do to convince you? And I luckily it didn't really take that much convincing. So
That's good.
um yeah, so that's pretty much how it came to be. But quick call. But essentially, yeah, that's how the name came to be. It was pretty easy for me, I think.
Now, before getting this streaming, was there somebody that you were looking up to that kind of got you wanted you to get into, content creation, or was there kind of like you're like, let's just try it out and see what happens?
Yeah. So for me, getting into content creation was a a song that was being sung in the diner, right?
Mm,
Something that was written on the wall for a long time.
hmm
Um, I think growing up, I watched YouTubers, um, and I was always just kind of infatuated with like how you were able to put something on like video just like online. I
mm,
kind of remember there wasn't a whole lot of knowledge there of like how to do it. I just kind of thought, all right, let me just kind of record something on my camera, and maybe there's a magical button that I can be able to do once I like get a YouTube account to like click.
hmm
Obviously it's a little bit more than that nowadays, but
Right.
in terms of content creation, I mean, I was so much of a consumer. I mean, like I watched the RDC worlds, the swoozies, the like neat dude or like nice dude, dude perfect,
hmm
um, and like just so many different individuals, right?
mm
And it was around 2019
mm
where I said, okay. I mean, like, I ended up going to kind of bringing back another set of creators. They go by the name of RDC One
mm
World, or they like Real Dreams Change the World is their acronym. Um, and I would say that they had a convention called DreamCon, and it
mm
was their first convention uh I want to say in 2019 might have been. No, 2018 was their first convention. I remember not being able to go because I was on an internship and I couldn't just randomly within that short notice take that time off. So
hmm
2019, their second one was when I ended up doing it. And I had always kind of been open to it. Like a lot of people had been telling me from a young age like, "Hey, you should like maybe do some content." And it wasn't until I think I saw people that I almost freaking idolized,
hmm
just walking around and interacting with them like regular people, where it almost just clicked then of like, oh, these dudes are just regular people who just so happen to have a really good creative eye. And I remember being able to have a conversation with one of the members, Desmond.
hmm
I will forever remember this conversation, and I think he kind of faintly remembers this conversation, because obviously with all of the stuff that he's doing and being
Yeah,
very
yeah.
busy and whatnot. But like, he told me, "Hey, I really think that you have a knack for this. Like, the best thing that you can do in these situations is to just start. You might not necessarily be good at it. I know we didn't really think we were good at it either, but you keep going and you find your sound, you find your creative vision, you find that flow." And it almost seems so simple, but somebody telling me that, I
hmm
went back home more motivated than ever to start. And granted, it took a little bit because I got really excited, and then I was like, okay, I only have a gaming laptop. How the heck am I supposed to stream? Like, we're talking about like one monitor, and like
Yeah.
the real ones, like the day ones, know that I was streaming at one point off of a gaming laptop, and just that. I was gonna try to figure out how to make it work, and that was just gonna be that. But
Yep.
um, I started up my PC building journey, and then in turn,
hmm
my streaming stuff back in 2020. And if there wasn't any sign, the big cough, right, was
Yep.
was the big sign for me. I was like, well, if we're gonna be inside anyway, and I'm gonna have video games anyway, like Animal Crossing New Horizons just came out.
Yep.
Let me see if there's a way that I can be able to, make an entertainment out of it. And that was really all she wrote, and it was history from there. But I will say that I don't think that I would have had that kick to start unless I had that conversation. And I have been in a very great position to be that person on the other side that tells the other person to start. And it's a beautiful thing, right? Like there's so much out there that we consume, right?
hmm
That's what we're set here to do as humans, right? But I think that the more that we tend to or find ourselves creating,
Mm,
more, if you can find yourself more creating than consuming,
hmm.
then you, I think, are just going to get so much more out of life. And that doesn't have to be streaming. That could be literally any field in any walk of life. Like, just start. You're gonna, like, the reality is you're gonna suck. Or maybe you might not suck, but like you're only going to be able to get better in those situations. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally understand that. Like I was telling you at or telling him at the beginning, I said, people I've, interviewed, I felt like Chugga Conroy was one of those people that I looked up to, I would say growing up, but we're about the same age. So
Yeah.
it's like getting him on the podcast at one point, and just kind of like what Third Knight's saying here. I mean, those people that won't give you the that feeling, that you're on the same level as them instead of, being like, oh, you're just a fan.
Mhm.
You're not good enough to do this. You're not on my level. But yeah, it's just crazy the stuff that can happen. But give me one second at this part now because the wife needs something real quick for my, she's
All
texting
good,
me. So,
bro.
yep, I'm gonna grab her pillow real quick. So, because she was gonna come to
No
go to sleep,
worries.
but give me one second.
Yeah. All good. Man, man. Um, this is the stuff that'll likely be edited, but hey, happy that y'all are here. Um, thank y'all so much for supporting the homie. Soccer FW5. Thank you so much for supporting the JDUB and Friends podcast, of which you can listen to all of these illustrious episodes on anything that you can get streaming. And yeah, I'm happy to be episode 33. I'm happy to be in the same podcast with the likes of Chugga Conroy and a handful of others as well. So good vibes. Good freaking vibes. Um,
Man, I'm getting old. Everything hurts.
listen, what I just came from the event that I had, it was uh a very active, like not escape room, but like think like a bunch of different mini games that vary in difficulty based on like mental, physical, um, or I feel there was like a third. There was like maybe a mix of both.
Mm,
And when I tell you, I was doing all types of stealth missions, and we ended up winning, but I dinged my right knee so bad, and like I think the adrenaline was like, "All right, you'll be fine. You made it through." But now that I'm kind of like stretching it out a little bit, I was like, "You really did ding your knee, huh?" And that's like on top of all of the other random stuff that like happened this weekend. I've just been getting hurt. Like
yeah.
I helped move
Oof.
a little bit earlier, and I like donked my head on the U-Haul. Like it's wild. I'm hurting all over.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my buddy of mine before I moved down here. We ended up moving him from one house to another in my home state,
Mhm.
and we ended up moving a piano. So I was about sore for the
Mm.
next like 2 days because of that piano. I was like, oh, I hate this thing. So now, whenever I get all my stuff moved down here,
The best situation is you end up in a situation where you can hire movers, because there is
Mhm.
nothing I hate more than moving, because
No,
it's the idea of packing everything up, moving it all over, the risk of things breaking,
yep,
everything's heavy. Heaven forbid you don't have an elevator and you have to take stairs. Heaven forbid the like third or fourth floor that you were really wanting, you
mhm,
realize then you have to take that stuff up those stairs. Like it's too
yep,
much. Like I want to make enough money where I can just not think about it, hire movers, and just keep it pushing. You know,
exactly.
that's what I aspire to do.
Yep, exactly. Now,
Man.
with your content creation now, do you like to do like co-op opportunities with other people, or is there somebody that you would definitely like look forward to be like, I want to do one with this person?
Yeah, yeah. I would love, and I always love the idea of collaborative creative ventures, right?
Hmm.
I whether that's just like somebody going on stream, or really something that I've been trying to focus on or would like to focus on a little bit here this year is the implementation of YouTube content, right?
Hmm.
And within that, there are some ideas where I'm like, oh, well, like I can be with this person or I can be with like this group of people and we can like make content together. Um, so I love collabs. I love collabs. I think that they are great both for the Twitch atmosphere, especially considering the discoverability factor, right? It's great that, raids now count towards the numbers that you're wanting to look for affiliate and partnership.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I love them. I would like to plan more, to be honest. I feel like the big thing for me is trying to set a date and trying to balance between just generally being busy as an adult,
Yeah.
and then like as somebody who like is working a full-time job and then would like to have this passion project. Like I work a 9 to 5, but my 5 to 9, like you still have to try to put that effort in. So it's like when I can, I absolutely love to. And then in terms of collaborations that I would love to be able to have.
Mm.
I feel like a collaboration with RDC World would be amazing because I feel like that would be such a full circle moment for me. And I've been able to go to the things like DreamCon and still be able to interact with them on a pretty regular basis.
Mm.
But if I can be able to like be on that same level with them as a creative peer, I feel
Mm.
like that would be amazing. And then another one for me would probably be games done quick.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, games done quick. I love everything that they do. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a speedrunner outside of maybe Hades.
Mm.
Hades, I just loved so much. I accidentally got really good at speedrunning the game, which is
Mm.
nuts. I'm way more of a completionist than I am a speedrunner.
Okay.
Um, but that being said, Games Done Quick is responsible for my personal, up until this day, largest raid that I've ever received, right? Like
Mm.
me personally, I've had up to 700, no, 1700, my fault, people watching me, and that was because of the huge rate that I ended up getting from Games Done Quick. I remember exactly where I was. I remember exactly what I was talking about. I was playing Celeste. I was talking about the nice little stick that I have when it comes to the beds and breakfasts. And I remember I just was saying that the beds were pretty comfortable, and I just remember my jaw dropped because I saw a number from a raid that I just did not even fathom was possible. Because it was just a random day, me playing Celeste while I was in grad school. It was a random
Mm.
evening, and it just so happened to be they liked the vibe, they decided that that's what they wanted to do, and it was a beautiful, beautiful situation. So if I can get back and find some games maybe that I can speed run or like get done quick, then I'd love
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
able to do that as well. Those are the two that come to mind. I'd love to collaborate with so many people, to be honest. Like, I'd be here all day if I gave you my list. But those two,
Mhm.
those two would be great. And then maybe Pokemon, right? Like, Pokemon
Right.
can hit my line any day. I would love to be on the front page of Twitch one day talking about Pokemon for like
That'd be
a
cool.
Pokemon day. So, like, hey,
Yeah.
they can hit my line anytime.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always thought it'd be kind of cool to see. I mean, like I've watched you and I watched Bill Feed. I'm like, what about Bill Feed and Third Night? Collab coming up. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But like, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of collabs that as a viewer, it's like, why haven't we done this or done that or anything like that? It's like,
Hmm.
but I'm glad like what you were seeing. Like a lot of people like do leave. Like do collabs with other people because it helps out both sides of the coin, and
Hmm.
you're still like games done quick. Uh, rating you. I mean, that's a big group of people, but they see
Right.
you as a peer at that point too, so which is cool. Um, Now, what do you see your future being in the Twitch scope? Like, do you
Man.
see it
Yeah.
doing this for a few more years? You see it doing for the rest of your life? Kind of.
Ooh, the good questions. The good questions.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say for me, it when I started this, right? When
Hmm.
I was skipping frames every 3 seconds, when I was playing the Pokemon
Mhm.
Sword and Shield Cage Lock. That is the first ever thing. The first ever thing that I was doing seriously on Twitch was a collaboration. So going to
Mhm.
your previous point, it's been ingrained in the creator DNA for me. But
Yeah.
for doing that, um I always told myself the second that I stop having fun with it, that's when I'll step away.
Mhm.
And I think over, I mean, this is now going to be, we're kind of closing out year 4 and getting ready to begin year 5.
Mhm.
I feel like I've been able to see a lot of growth and a lot of high highs,
Mhm.
and really not that many low lows when it comes to this space. I think that I've been able to kind of Harlem shake through any of like the drama, but like there hasn't really been any drama over on my end anyway
Right.
because I feel like I've just been lucky enough to just surround myself in the internet space with so many wonderful individuals. Like I do not kid when I say this. This isn't even to brag about me. This is to brag about them. The
Mhm.
individuals that I find myself running into, I feel like I bat 1,000. So like when you come into a chat of mine, there's so many wonderful people that I would go to bat with almost freaking more than myself when it comes to just like content and stuff because they're just beautiful people both on stream, off stream, inside and out. And
Mhm.
I mean, as far as the future, I've been a little bit more vocal about it this year, and I think just moving forward. I feel like I was a little bit tepid earlier, but like I'd love to be able to continue growing my community to a point where being a Twitch partner isn't such a far-fetched deal. I feel like we've got the tech, maybe we've got the community for it. I think it's just a matter of growing those numbers and seeing where it is. And I mean,
Mhm.
if there's ever a situation where it gets to a point where I could be able to make a genuine and knowledgeable decision, I mean, if I could take this full time, I
Mhm.
wouldn't be mad at it. I'd love to try it.
Yeah.
I think that especially with where I'm at right now, as I continue to get older, I know because I'm not necessarily getting any younger, there are some situations where, even still being in my 20s currently, it's like you might as well try it, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I have enough of a base where if you try and you fail, you don't
Mhm.
really fail if you learn a lesson and you gain something from it, but like
Right.
might as well, right? There's no
Yeah.
time like the present to be able to do it. So, in terms of the future, I just want to be able to continue growing a community where I feel like the genres and the games and the atmospheres I enter have weight to them, right? Like I think that we're doing a really cool thing with the indie game space, not just
Mhm.
for me, but for my friends, Prez and Tony. Like we run the Friendo Your Endo show together, and that is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful space that we've been able to create for the community, not just to give the budding streamers and the streamers that may or may not necessarily get the attention one way or another their flowers in that spotlight, but that also goes for like the indie games as well, right? Like
Mhm.
to be able to say that we like world premiere like indie games is such a crazy statement that if you would have told me like a couple of years ago, I would have been like, you're absolutely nuts that like game devs are coming to us because they actually feel as though like our show and stuff like that has weight. So like, yeah,
Mhm.
I see myself doing it for the foreseeable future. I think that the content is going to continuously look to evolve and transform into the stuff that I want it to do.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think the goal is just to continue growing the community and like making a name for myself in the Pokemon space and in the indie game space and really just like being that creator that leaves you better than how I found you, right? Like that's all I really care about now and that's all
Mhm.
I care about in the future, right? Whether you're here to watch me, whether you're here to watch the gameplay, if I can be able to make you laugh a little bit more, smile a little bit more, then that's what I feel like I'm here to do on Twitch, you know?
Right.
And I if I don't know, like I decide to step away, I want to be able to look back and regardless of the numbers that were accrued, regardless of everything, I want to really be able to say I made an impact and I left this place better than how I found it, right? And I
Right.
was able to share and provide such beautiful memories for people along the way, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That makes total sense. Yeah. All right, when you first started, were you worried about people not showing up, or was it kind of like you were more struggling to actually set up a set schedule and kind of run, like, oh man, I'm too tired tonight to do it, or feel like you're like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all of that, honestly. I mean, I feel like no matter how big you get, I feel like there's always something in the back of their head that says, nobody's gonna really show up to this. Why would anybody like, even engage and, participate? You're just a grain of sand on the internet and, you're
mhm,
here today and gone tomorrow. But like that's always going to be there. I think it's always just about the framework and the mindset.
mhm,
I think especially when people are looking at the numbers, right? For me, I'm happy to say that the numbers don't necessarily affect me as much because I feel like I've seen the numbers go as high as stuff that I couldn't even fathom, right?
yeah,
But I've also sometimes been in situations where the numbers might have been lower than the average than what I was looking for.
mhm,
But I think whether you're streaming in front of one person or you're streaming in front of 10,000, right, or more,
mhm,
I think that you should always be willing to put in that energy because no matter what that number says, those individuals for that set amount of time are there because they took the time to click that link and are invested in you, whether they're actively chatting or lurking or
mhm,
literally anything in between. It truly means the world because you could literally be anywhere on the internet, right?
yep,
But the fact that you decide to stop by my little corner is great.
mhm,
Um, and schedule is always interesting too. I think
mhm,
it is one of those things where a lot of people sometimes feel like they need to be live every day. And shout out to the people that can be live every day. I know I cannot do that with everything that I'm doing, right? Like I still have to try to be a human outside of that because if I'm not
yeah,
taking care of myself off stream, how am I supposed to be the best that I can be in terms of entertainment and everything else on stream? So
mhm,
I think it's just about finding what makes the most sense for you. I mean, like,
yeah,
I've tried 2 days a week, I've tried 3 days a week, I've tried 4 days a week. It depends kind of on the situation of
mhm,
everything else that's going on in my life, what makes the most sense.
right,
Um, but I think that to anybody that's like out there who is struggling to find a set cadence, I feel like don't put that much pressure on yourself, because
mhm,
the day that my mind changed was I remember I felt bad because I was
mhm,
sick. No, mind you, right? I was sick one day, and I remember just kind of putting an announcement um, that I was like, "Hey, I'm not gonna necessarily be able to stream. I'm so sorry." Right? Like I don't necessarily know if you were looking forward to it or not, but like I felt really bad just
yeah,
about like having to postpone. And the amount of individuals that came to just support and was just like, no, it's literally okay. Like whenever you're there and able to stream, please just take care of yourself first. And sometimes you just need that common sense, statement to read or to understand. Or like people even were saying like, hey, I just want to let you know that like I wasn't necessarily having the best day or whatever,
mhm,
or this, that, and the third, but like I just want to say I'm really happy that you ended up streaming that day because it was you might not know it. I might have been lurking and didn't really say a whole lot, but like I was so happy to be able to watch and to be able to have, you up just that and be there. So
right,
I think it's all about just finding your own cadence and finding the community that's going to meet you where you are. Because once you do that, the
mhm,
sky's the limit, right? Do what works best and, make sure that the people are okay with you not being at 100% all of the time. Because
makes total
that's the community that's gonna, yeah.
stick with you. Yep. Yeah, I nothing like me myself, I didn't, have a set schedule and stuff like that, and then, still hit affiliate on my other channel, my gaming channel I use. And it was
Yeah.
like it's like what how did I do that? I have no idea what I did. And I was just like surprised. I was like, all right, what am I gonna do now? And yeah, so like what he was, I mean, you just give a lot of good advice that a lot of people, it don't matter what, how many people are watching it, you're still gonna be, still be doing, having fun. You could still be making somebody's day and make them all happy and everything like that. So all just depends on, yourself. If you're worried about, the numbers, like he said, if you're worried about other, people and what they're doing, like hypothetically speaking, like Narvaez Jr., who was big with Rooster Teeth, and he has,
Yeah.
6,000, 7,000 people, watching at any time. It's, not because, it's people want to watch him. It's because, like, he started as a small streamer, like Third Night, self, build a fajita, etc., and
Yep.
kind of, built his crew up, and but yeah, like, I mean, Third Knight's one of those people that I've been watching for a little bit now, that I caught up on
Mhm.
too because of Bill and stuff like that. So learning from him, stuff like that, it's like this is cool, and finding out kind of what makes him tick, what games he plays that make, um, can catch um, you know, my viewing and all that stuff, and trying to make, everything work and stuff like that. Because like working him working a job and myself working a job, I work
Yep.
6 to 2:30 every day, Monday through Friday, and then by the time I get home at 2:30, it's like, well, I got kids I have to take care of, and then by the time kids are up in bed, it's like 9 o'clock. It's like, all right, if I stream from 9 to 11, and then it's like, well, I got to get up at 5 in the morning. I'm tired, and then you start feeling bad, and then you start thinking about everything. It's just like everything he said is like exactly kind of what you know you start thinking about. And it's like, oh man, am I wasting my time doing this? Am I
Hmm.
struggling? Is anybody actually going to watch? Blah 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 blah. It's like, no, it's people are going to watch if they want to watch you because it's important to them. So
Exactly.
um since I know that we are both gonna probably watch the Super Bowl tomorrow, who do you got in the Super Bowl?
Man, who do I have in the Super Bowl 59? Man, I tell you what, I it's rough, right?
Hmm.
Because I am invested on both sides, right?
Hmm.
I have way too many Philly friends. As somebody who like I have way too many Philly friends, and the ties that I have to Philadelphia is actually insane for somebody who didn't really spend a whole lot of time there until some of my 20s, right?
Hmm.
And then I have a childhood friend who is on the Kansas City Chiefs,
Oh
right?
wow.
So it's like I'm kind of getting pulled. I don't really care from a football fan perspective,
Hmm.
because I'm a Dolphins fan and our
Mm.
franchise is a little cooked all of the time.
Yeah.
But I say that to say I think history is going to be made either way. But something is telling me that Jalen and Saquon are gonna have that Cinderella ending. I don't know what it is. I mean, like
Hmm.
Saquon's just such a good guy,
Yeah.
and like the way that he is playing is kind of out of this world right now. And
Yep.
I think if they go off to the races tomorrow, like if they're up by like 12 or more at the half, they might be able to lock it in because the thing with the Chiefs, and I would love to see, I'd also love to see the Chiefs win. I'd love to be able to like start having that very interesting conversation between Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady if that ends up happening, like the first three-peat in the history
Hmm.
of the league, plus like considering when Mahomes got into the league and like,
Yeah.
obviously the crazy script that is Travis Kelsey proposing to Taylor Swift and retiring off into the sunset. Like there's so much crazy storylines that are going on right now. But like I think I don't know,
Hmm.
I think they might take it. And but that's very dependent on how that first half goes because if the Chiefs, the thing about the Chiefs is they make every team, it seems, play at their pace of football.
Hmm.
And if that game slows down, it's gonna get spooky. It's
Yeah.
gonna get spooky for the Eagles because they have so many beautiful and talented offensive options
Hmm.
where Mahomes isn't necessarily having the season and maybe he's not always been the type of person to throw for 300 plus something yards,
Yeah,
but the dude knows how to win a game. He knows how to absolutely maximize the talent that he has at his disposal, and it's going to be interesting. We're going to see
yeah,
what we're going to see what the tempo's like, you know?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm an Eagles fan, obviously. I mean, I did
Yeah.
a podcast a couple days ago, so that was talking about the Eagles.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles will win. Either be a really close 24-21 kind of low scoring because
Hmm.
defensive battle, or it's gonna be 42-35, high scoring offensive battle. It's gonna be one or the other.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
I want to shoot out, like to
Yeah,
be honest. I feel like that's the games that are fun, right? Like it's
yep.
always good seeing the defense do their job, but like I need to see some bombs getting thrown. I need to see some maybe like punt return
Hmm.
touchdowns. Like I just need
Yeah.
yeah, give me something good.
Yeah, I was saying I think if Saquon gets started and he can get, running, I don't think the Chiefs will win. I think if
It's
Saquon can
gonna get
get running,
scary.
yeah. Yeah, if he can get some, I mean, he's had, let's see, I think six now touchdowns over 60 yards, which, I mean, that's that's impressive.
Like what?
Yeah. So, I mean, if they can keep that going, they get the tush push going. I mean, I think they can win. They are definitely a different team from 2 years ago, but we'll see.
Hmm.
Uh, Another sports question I'll ask you because I'm not
Yeah.
sure we're both kind. I mean, we're both kind of in sports, but with the Heat, were you surprised that they traded away Butler, or you think it was time to get him out of Miami?
I think that I think the way that it happened
Mm,
probably there's a level of accountability that both sides need to take.
mm,
Um, I think that Jimmy, I mean, I love dude. Like what he did for us 2020. I
yeah.
mean, what he's done for us in kind of like recent. The Heat have been when they're online one of the most fun teams to watch that just
Hmm.
break the rules. You're a playing team. You're not supposed to make it out of there with against that roster. Okay,
Yeah.
well, you're an eighth seed. You're not supposed to beat.
Yeah.
Surely
Yep.
you're not going to beat the number 1 seed, right?
Hmm.
Oh, oh, wait. They were balling. Wait a minute. And
Yeah.
it just kind of kept going and unfortunately those runs we just kind of ran out of gas, right? Like
Hmm.
you have to play that level of basketball to even have gotten to the point where it was. So I can't blame the
Yeah.
load management or anything, but like it's unfortunate.
Hmm.
I love Jimmy. I love Jimmy. I love Jimmy. I love Jimmy. But I do think if we're looking at all of the teams,
Hmm.
that he's been on, I feel like maybe eventually this was going to happen. And,
Yeah.
I think that it always depends on how you want to be able to like handle talent. And like, I'm not going to, I feel like there's so much love that I have for Pat Riley as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's so many, like, even just with like LeBron and whatnot, just period, right? Like, it could have
Hmm.
been, let's not even talk about like all of the stuff with D Wade and like back when D Wade and like Shaq and stuff were playing together, but like,
Yep.
it just felt like both parties needed something new. I just
Hmm.
wish that it would have ended a little bit more amicably
Yeah.
than what it ended up being. I'm interested to see kind of the new tools and pieces that we were at. I've been a little bit not the happiest with our general management as of late in terms
Hmm.
of some of the pieces that I feel like we can get. But you know, I'm always down to watch the Heat. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
always down to watch them because if they're in the playoffs, even if the conversations are nothing more than a whisper, there's always going to be conversations because you can
Yep.
never count them out because they break rules and that's just that's what they do, you know? So,
Yeah, they've been good for years. I mean, I think all of us growing up, well, all of us 90s babies watched MJ growing up and he was the guy, for the longest.
yep.
And then after that, that's kind of after MJ retired, that's when I was like, all right, I gotta find a new team. And I was a Shaquille O'Neal fan for a little bit, so I kind of watched the
Mhm.
Lakers for a while, and then right after that, fell in love with Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was amazing. Alonzo Mourning, I was another Alonzo Mourning fan.
Jeez, yeah.
I was watching them for a while. Tim Hardaway Jr. or not Tim Hardaway
Tim
Jr. Tim
Hardaway.
Hardaway, yep, senior when he played for the Heat. That's kind of that.
Mhm.
So I started going toward the Heat. So, but yeah, Dwayne Wade, man, he was a he's probably the best heat of all time. I would
Yeah, I'm
I
telling you,
I
like,
put him above LeBron. I mean, even just first couple years there. I mean, it was Dwayne, and Dwayne was that city. Like that was Dwayne's. That's
hmm
why they
yeah,
call it Wade
it's
County.
beautiful. Wade County, baby. It's yeah, I loved that era.
Hmm.
And I think especially when those two and Bosch were playing together,
Yeah.
I will say that, and I don't know how much of a hot take this is, but like I truly believe no matter how many rings he's gotten, no
Hmm.
matter how many rings he might still be able to get,
Yeah.
I think that Braun had the most fun
Hmm.
in Miami. Like I just think like when you're looking at the highlights even from there, like yes, he's doing his things with the Lakers. Yes, he won one for Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yes, all of that, right?
Hmm.
But it's something about those Miami highlights when you're just like there was an explosiveness to the game, there was an athleticism to the game, there was just like a finesse and like swagger to that team. Like it
Yep.
was just they were fun to watch. They went on like that
Yep.
crazy win streak and then obviously going and not being able to make it that first year, but then coming back, having Ray Allen hit one of the
Yep.
most important basketball shots of all time, right? Like it's
Ray Ray.
like it was a good time. It was just fun.
Yep. I always had a hot take that without Dwayne Wade, LeBron would not have as many championships as he had.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's like
Yeah.
LeBron didn't have that killer mentality when before he came to Miami. Then after Miami, you've seen it like with Dwayne Wade and helped him out, and
Oh
it was like
yeah.
now he got kind of that more killer mentality. He's not like a Jordan killer mentality. Jordan,
Yeah.
was he? There was a story about Reggie Allen. I don't know if you heard or Reggie Miller. I don't know
hmm
if you heard this story or not. It was on the Saturday or the Tonight Show. He was talking about they had a exhibition game in the preseason, whatever you want to call it. It
Yeah.
was Reggie Allen had or Reggie Allen. Wow, I keep saying Allen because I'm thinking of Ray. And Reggie Miller had
Yeah.
10 points to start in by the end of the first half, and Michael had two. So before
Um,
halftime, Reggie started talking to Michael Jordan and was like, "Hey, you better get the Air Jordan up because like one of his teammates is like talking to him like, yeah, we're killing him, we're killing him." And he said by the end of the game, Michael Jordan had 42 points, and Reggie said he had 12.
Listen, sometimes there is just an activation.
Yep.
That's why I don't like talking, right? Like
Nope.
I'm a quiet competitor. I'm
Mm.
able to talk my stuff if I really need to, but like
Yeah.
when you see me quiet and locked in, that's
Yep.
when you know some it's about to get crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. He said he walked off the. Reggie said he walked when Michael Jack or Jordan walked by him the last time when he was heading back to the locker room after the game. He's like, "Don't you ever talk about Black Jesus that way again." Walked off.
Just cinema, the stuff you
Yeah.
can't make up, you
No, it's
know?
like what in the world? So yeah, Michael's obviously my goat. I
Mhm,
think everybody's like, oh, but LeBron has done stuff that Michael's never done. It's like, well, you got to think Michael also wasn't in the league when he was 18 years old.
mhm,
He didn't, he got the stuff done in 13 years compared to what LeBron's doing in 20.
mhm.
It's like 7 more years. I mean, if Michael had didn't retire during those two times, is he gonna? He would have. I think he would have won. 8, 9 championships. He might have. Won as many
I'd
championships as he could.
be, yeah, I'd be very interested to see because I think that where a lot of people, I mean, people are going to make that argument obviously
Hmm.
all of the time, regardless of what end of the stick
Yeah.
you're on. I think that for me, I feel like I've been a bit of a teeter-totter.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's a level of longevity, and obviously, like, we can run the hypotheticals through the time chamber all the
Hmm.
time. Um, and sometimes we're a victim to recency, right?
Right.
Um, I think that I think that there is a real conversation. I think LeBron
Hmm.
needs one more. I think he needs one more for there to be like a really interesting conversation because people are gonna have their thoughts and their processes, but it's just like I think one additional ring might be I'm not necessarily going to say a tipping point, but like it's going to be like like I can see where you're coming from in this argument this deep into the career, somehow being able
Hmm.
to make it all work. And I mean, the dude is still balling. It doesn't make any sense. I remember
Mhm.
where somebody was just like, LeBron's gonna be 30. This isn't gonna really last too much longer, and had
Yeah.
to come back to that tweet 10 years later because he's literally doing the same stuff, if not even crazier considering the age. It's
Mhm.
yeah. So I'd be interested. I'd personally love to see him win one more. I'd be interested to see. I mean, especially with this trade now, I feel like Adam
Yeah.
Silver had to do some dark magic. I don't know what
Yeah.
was going on with all of these trades, but hey, if
Yeah.
people were not interested in the league, I think they had to kind of just run a Hail Mary and just like
Yeah.
smorgasbord it. We're just throwing names, whatever dart you land on, that's the team you're headed to. It doesn't have to
Exactly.
make sense, you
Yep.
know?
Now,
So
my last question I'll ask you before, because I've pretty much kept you long enough. I don't want to.
all, all good.
Your Miami Dolphins. What do you think they need to do
Miami
next?
Dolphins.
What do you think they need to do next year? You think Tua's the quarterback of the future, or do you think he's needs to retire with all the hits to the head he's taken?
I personally, I have two thoughts about this,
Hmm.
and the person goes, I don't think Tua should play another game of football. I
Hmm.
don't think he should. I think that all of the scary hits that he's taken brings a
Hmm.
lot of concern to just my being. And I would hate to see a situation where he gets like one or two more hits and
Hmm.
then that's just simply it, right?
Yeah.
I would hate to see that. Especially because I feel like it's like there are preventative measures, and I feel like you can only do so much given the CTE protocol and like how the player feels. But
Yep.
as the fan, as the fan, I had like we look like there are two different offenses that happen when
Hmm.
Tua is out there and when Tua isn't out there. So what I think we need to do,
Hmm.
honestly, realistically, I think we need to buffer up above all else our O line.
Hmm.
Give Tua time to work. You need to be Royal Guard. Do not let anybody touch that man and let him throw stuff, right? Let him
Yep.
throw stuff. Um, I think that in terms of just like the offensive tools are there, in my
Hmm.
opinion, right? Like, granted, when Tyreek could actually catch a ball, right? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know how you had this season. If you would have told me he would have had this season in terms of like what was going on in comparison to last season, I like gave you the two sheets. I would have been like, those are two different players. Wait, both were Tyreek? That's insane. What do you mean? He literally was just about to drop 1,000. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
But I feel like the teams and like the offensive options are there, right? Like there might
Hmm.
be things that we can be able to make if we can make a sneaky trade here, sneaky trade there.
Hmm.
But I think and our defense is okay, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm always going to take like upgrades to any defense, right? Because that's what I feel like ends up winning championships. Like the offense is going to put people in seats, but like if you can stop a ball, if you can stop a run, if you can bring them to your tempo, of course.
Yeah.
But I think above all else, like our top priority, in my opinion, should be our O line. Like beef that up as best as you absolutely can.
Yeah.
Let Tua work. If that's what he wants to do, I'm not gonna stop him because when he's not touched, right?
Yeah.
When he's left alone and owned to his own devices, he'll make it work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Tui definitely needs like a Lane Johnson, for the Eagles, where he's that blindside guard that's not gonna
yeah,
let you get hit.
yep.
But
I need you. I need y'all to take care of my guy. I need y'all to take care of him.
do you feel like your running backs set, or you think you could go get another running back
I
and
mean,
help him
hey,
out?
look, I'd love another tool. I think like where we're at in terms of like both wide receiver and running back.
Hmm.
Okay, right? Like that wouldn't necessarily be my first priority, but if somebody in upper management can be able to swindle some sort of trade where we end up getting another like RB2, right?
Yeah.
Like or like a sneaky RB1, right? Like in like some sort of blockbuster trade without like giving the whole house away. Oh, of course. Of
Yeah.
course, of course. Right? Like I love you give if we can have somebody Tyreek-esque, right?
Hmm.
That won't be the level of inconsistent, right? Then hey, go
I'll
for
take
it.
him.
Give me
Yeah. Would you
that. Right?
take?
So,
Would you take Cooper?
ooh, Cooper freaking Cup.
Hmm.
Cooper Cup, I have a very love-hate relationship with that dude.
Hmm.
I like seeing him win. I do like seeing him win.
Hmm.
Um I do not like Dude because he was probably solely responsible for me losing my fantasy. Solely
Mm.
responsible. Like I'm talking like I was down by 4 and needed him to do anything, and Dude gave me a goose egg. I said, "Bruh, there's no way." Puka, there cannot be this much Samoan influence. There
Yeah.
can't be. You're not gonna sit here and tell y'all had Stafford. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's like you're not running the routes or if it's like I was expecting. Honestly, I was expecting them to use both options.
Hmm.
Um, like because you have two blockbuster options. Like just
Oh
the
yeah.
year before, Cooper looked like Puka, and Puka looked more like Cooper, but like not necessarily as much of the fall off. It was there. He was
Yeah.
there for like options. I say all of that to say I wouldn't be mad at it. I
Hmm.
wouldn't be mad at it. But it depends on what Cooper we're getting. Like, are we getting a Cooper that's now hungry because he kind of got booted off, like from being number one and then eventually off of the team? Or
Yeah.
are we getting a let me collect this paycheck right quick, kind of ride off into the sunset? Something tells me maybe we're leaning a little bit more into one because I think, according to him, his plan was to try to retire with the team, right?
Yeah.
You get up and moved out of there, maybe there's a new fire that ends up happening, and maybe there's a little bit more routes and
Yeah.
availability. So I would not be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at it at all.
My last question for you, Miles Garrett, where you see him next year?
Miles freaking Garrett. Ah, I love that dude. I love that
Yeah.
dude. Jeez. I think whoever gets Miles Garrett is that really is that's the NFL offseason. Like
Hmm.
like that's the domino piece that I think is going to then like cause the rest of the trades to happen because I think so many people are going to bid. Um, if you man,
Yeah.
I I don't know. Like I feel like there are a handful of options, right? Like
Mhm.
who are we knowing that genuinely unironically needs like a defensive juggernaut like that, right?
Right.
I have a couple ideas if he's willing to stay in Ohio. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see
Yeah.
it. Because that'd be fun. Because it's
Hmm.
like if you're talking about Joe and Jamar is
Hmm.
already insane, like offensively. But if you
Yeah.
were to add like a Miles Garrett like centerpiece defense to that squad,
Hmm.
I don't know what, but I might say that they might have ended up winning a bunch more games because like a lot of the games they ball out and then just lose in the end by like a couple points.
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't know. That's just like they're already a fun team, and that's just to make them more fun, you know.
Yeah.
But whoever
And
gets them, hey, Godspeed.
yeah, I honestly don't think he's going to any AFC teams, AFC North teams anyway, because I
Yeah.
don't think the Browns would be like, here, trade him to the
Oh,
Steelers so they
absolutely
can
not.
run all over us, or Cincinnati, or even Baltimore for that matter. It's just like, and then we want to run all over our quarterback, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's maybe three teams that I would say that are definitely going to make a call for him. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot more teams that are going to make calls, but I think like these teams, there
The
going to be three
literal
teams that are
calls.
going to be like, yeah, like trying to make the trades because like
Mhm.
Eagles have that draft, you know, picks that they could give up. I mean, we give up James Bradbury, who hasn't played a game yet this year. We got big contract on him, and I think the other two
All of the
teams,
Eagles would be so disgusting.
would
Just
be. Yeah.
like, woo, okay,
And then
yeah.
I think the other two would be the Lions.
Hmm.
Aiden Hutchinson on one end, and then you got Miles Garrett on the other end. I think that'd be
Yeah.
a deadly combination. And then the third team would be the Rams, just because I feel like the Rams
Mm.
haven't been had that same defensive line since Donald left.
Yep.
So I mean,
I agree.
they could. I mean, I think those would be the three main teams that'll take a shot at it because I feel like
Hmm.
they have the options. But guess we'll find out next offseason.
I will be looking very, very closely and honestly picking up the defense immediately that picks him up in fantasy.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start there, you know?
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, there's been a lot of craziness. I finished fourth this year in my fantasy league, so
Uh,
Yeah, I didn't repeat. I was champion last year in Bill the Fajitas. So
ah,
yeah,
it's
and
so I gotta maybe that'd be fun to join Bills. That'd
yeah,
be cool.
if we definitely have an opening this year. I'll let them know for sure because I mean it's we do like a pre-draft. We're doing the pot or the Discord call while we're in the draft, so it's really fun.
Yeah,
But yeah, I want to thank Third Night for being on the podcast with me tonight. I know it's
thank you for
about
having me, fam. It's been fun.
yeah, it's about 2.5 hours now, so time flies on these podcasts, which is
We did
crazy.
it on the fly, you know.
Yeah, usually keep a track, but no. We're now I allow everybody to promo themselves. Where can they people find you if they want to talk to you or get more information or anything like that about you?
Yeah, so you can pretty much find me on at the third with a 3RD and the night, KNIGHT, pretty much anywhere and anywhere. I will say I'm primarily on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, with a couple of exceptions, usually between 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm doing anything from like Pokemon to indie games to really just stuff that kind of reminds me of my childhood.
Hmm.
Like that slot right now is going to Legend of Zelda,
Hmm.
Twilight Princess,
Hmm.
which a lot of people I was unaware that people were coming out of the woodwork saying that is a really really cherished game of theirs. But
Hmm.
I'm there. I'm pretty much on all socials. I'm pretty funny on there if I'd like to say so myself. But that's pretty much that. You can expect a lot of fun content both on and off stream this year. I'm hoping to just be able to continue building that community both on Twitch, maybe on YouTube, maybe a little bit of music as well. That could potentially come out. So there's a lot of fun stuff. So I'd encourage you to tune in early and see what I might be able to come up with this year.
Sounds good, yeah. Well, thank you all for watching. Like I said, you find the Third Night on his Twitch channel. And we'll see you guys after the Super Bowl. Probably have a Super Bowl review with a few people. So thank you all for watching.
See ya.